Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. My respected elders, brothers and sisters, loving Sai Rams to you all. So wonderful to be here. Being Navratri, happy Navratri to you all. From a Gujarati family, Navratri is a big deal. You must have seen in these Bollywood films, there's disco dandias and these celebrations happening. And I was flying here, I was wondering, I'm missing all these. I mean, I'm no good. The person that goes the wrong direction and hits everyone's head, that's me. But anyway, I enjoy the celebrations. And I was thinking, well, I'm missing this. I'm here for 1 week in the US. But Swami has his own master plans, and how wonderful it is that on Navratri week, he's brought me here to spend this wonderful afternoon and evenings with you all. So I feel really blessed and really honored. I didn't have any implications I was speaking. Brother Krishna rang me an hour ago and said, "Oh, by the way, you're speaking, put the phone down." So I said to Swami, whatever the first words that Seema will talk about, that would be my guiding principle. And you talked about Divine Mother. So we'll talk about the Divine Mother. And Dr. Reddy said to share a few personal experiences. So I'll do my best. And we'll leave it to Swami and see where the journey takes. So yeah, you must have often heard Swami when you ask people, "What do you want?" And I've heard him say it many times, "What do you want?" But I knew the answer, which is, "I want you." So when he asked me, "What do you want?" I said, "Swami, I want you." And he smiled, and I smiled, and everyone smiled, and yes, I got the right answer. But what does that actually mean? You don't know what that means. I just tap on the back, and I felt really good. But the true test comes in life. And I remember there's been several incidences like this. One incident I recall was from when Prashant and Ilya were eagerly waiting for an interview. And we're waiting in darshan and nothing was happening. Then every day I would iron my clothes and make sure I'm prim and proper and tidy. And this is the day I put the best cologne on so I smell good in case, Swami doesn't see me, he could smell me. So like, where's he smell? Because I had all these tricks. I had a handkerchief in my hand because the idea was give him a handkerchief so he holds it, you could grab his hand. So I had all these tricks planned and letters I used to take every day. He used to take them every single day. He used to take a letter and I forgot what to write to him. So he said, "Hello, Swami." And I just put in a letter, just something so, get his attention. And I had all these tricks. Then one afternoon, I was running really late for darshan, so no time for shower, no time to get dressed. I had a white t-shirt on. I thought, let me just quickly run. And the guy, Sevadal was saying, the queues are now finished. Quick, line up. So anyway, so I got the first line for the token. And the gentleman will know this who's been to Prashanti. When you're the token person, it's the most stressful job in the world. Because you can be either the best friend or the enemy within the split second. So whilst in the line, there's Gayatri chanting happening while the token is coming. And I put my hand in and I got the token. And from being, the best friend to reading out the number 11, I became the enemy quite quickly. They're like, "Oh, why are we sat in this queue, this guy?" So then the chanting stopped and everyone stopped and our heads looked down. I've never seen this before, but when the Sevadal said, "Today, number 1 line is number 11." And no one's like, I've never, only asked the shock on my face, and everyone just sat there and accepted it. So then I got up. Then from being the enemy, I became the golden child again, and everyone loved me. So this is amazing. So then we got up, and then we went in the hall, and then you're like a lost parrot. There's all empty. You don't know where to sit. So I sat from one place to the other place, to jumping around because will he come here? No, he'll come there. He might not come there. He'll come here. So I was jumping everywhere. Then one guy said, "Look, just sit here. There's a pathway. Likely someone will come down the pathway. So why don't you just sit here?" Will it definitely come? Because I don't know. And then all this debate, I was like, "Okay, we'll just sit down." And then the hall started getting filled up. And instead of praying, I was just like, if I sat there, would he have come then? Well, what about that spot? These thoughts were going through my head. And then Swami then came. He came from the ladies' side. And then he came to the men's side. And he came literally straight down the path and straight in front of me. And then he said, "How many?" And I said, "Swami, 2 people." He goes, "Who?" I said, "Me and my mother." He goes, "Where's your mother?" A bit of strange question. So on the ladies' side, Swami, she sat on the ladies' side. Then he goes, "Okay, go." Then he said, go for an interview. So at that time, you could take your books and pens and everything. So I was walking down, my pen fell out of my pocket, and my notes fell out of my pocket, and my letter fell out, the hanky fell out. I was leaving a trail. And everyone was telling me that you're leaving. I thought they're waving at me saying, well done, you got an interview. So I'm like, yeah, thank you, thank you. They're like, no, look behind you. The Swami's even laughing at me. Like, what's he done? So as I was walking at that time, my mother actually had the last last token line. So she was sat right at the very back. Lady sat next to her said, why are you reading your book? She's like, I can't see Swami, so I'm just sitting reading my book. Because now, even if you look up and just see a glimmer of his halo, that's blessings. She said, okay, fine. She closed the book, looked up, and lo and behold, she saw me at the end, like waving, looking for her. She's like, that's my son. So the lady next to her thought this woman's mad. Like, for a second ago, she's reading a book, and now she thinks her son's calling her. But anyway, she managed to get up and fight the Sevadals and get to the front. So we're waiting outside the interview room, and Swami comes there, and he goes to me, where's your mother? I went, he's here, sat next to me. He goes, okay, fine. And then he goes, go inside. So we went inside the interview room, and he asks me again, where's your mother? Like, baby didn't hear me the first time round. Like, she sat right next to me. Swami said, okay, fine. Then he had his hand on my head and he's talking to everyone and he's rubbing my head. And that's another one. I'll tell you, it's a funny story behind that as well. I was very particular with my hairstyle. I had this spiky hairstyle. And I was very particular. I was like, Swami would love me for my hairstyle, whether it's spiky or not. So I'm not changing it. Anyway, in the interview while Swami was talking, he's like rubbing his hand and going back and forth, back and forth. Everyone's thinking, how blessed is this guy? And I'm thinking, Swami, you're messing my hair up. But like, I've got no gel. And look, I'm going to look, when I go out, they'll be like, look at the state of this guy. Anyway, but then he held my hand and he took me in the inner room. As he's taking me inside, he says, where's your mother? So obviously I said, she's behind me, Swami, shall I call her? Obviously the lesson was that he was saying, I am your divine mother. And he gave me ample chances. So there's this notion of, you are my mother, Swami, getting a pat. How much do you have that firm conviction that, he is your true mother and he's always with me? Similarly, give me a shot. I don't know how long I've got, Krishna. Okay, fine. Similarly, some of you may have heard this, but it's just prompted me when you talked about the vehicle and the car. Seema, it prompted the story of when I was involved in a car accident. And again, where Swami again showed his omnipresence and he talked about omnipresence as well. So I'll touch upon that. Like I think he's guiding me to speak about that. A group of friends and I went to Greece on holiday. As you do, we were really young, and we thought this is amazing. We'll have a fun, great time. So we thought we'd hire a car, not an ordinary car, an open-top Jeep fast sports car. So we hired one, and we're going up the mountain, and having a great time. The music's on louder, and the car's going faster, and we're having a great time. All of a sudden, we're going up and up the cliff, and as we're talking and having a good time and rejoicing, my friend who was driving, instead of pressing the brake to slow down, he hit the accelerator. And the car started spinning out of control, and it spun out of control, and he hit this one block. The only one block that was on the side. If that one block wasn't there, the car would have toppled over. There was one block just preventing the car. And in that process, I got thrown out of the car head first and broke my collarbone. The next thing I knew, I woke up in a hospital bed, unconscious and not knowing what happened. So anyways, I'm lying in this bed, when I finally got a bit conscious. And you're in a bad state when people come and visit you, the doctors, and the first thing they see in your face is, oh my God, look at you. And then you couldn't get up, so you knew something's bad. And when you kind of feel your face and you can feel it from this side, you feel that something's not quite right. But anyway, so all these thoughts, and I'm sitting there and having a right go at Swami, saying, why have you done this to me? I'm your devotee. Like all these people, and you pick on me and to have this car accident. It's a bit rude. Like, why have you done this to me? And I was having this massive conversation with him, like really upset. I was like, you're supposed to be controlling. You're my mother and you're my father. You're supposed to be looking out for me. And this is what you do. This is how you treat me. And this dialogue happened throughout for like several hours because nothing else to do. So I was like, have a conversation with Swami. This continued this conversation. As I opened my eyes, at the end of the bed was this Orthodox Greek priest. And he stood there with a cross on his hand, and I can still vividly remember him now. And just like how Swami waves his hand, he waved his hand and said, don't worry. So anyway, so I thought, well, maybe, don't know who this guy is. So the lady sat next to me looking after her elderly father. So I turned over to her and said, who is this gentleman? And she said, oh, he's some priest, because I've been here for several months. I've never seen him. But I thought, well, it doesn't matter. It's a coincidence. It's not really Swami. It's just some man just happened to be there. Anyway, where I currently live at home, my usual practice to talking with Swami is to write a letter, put it in the river, and see it sail away. As it sails away, that's my communication with him, that he's received my messages and he's spoken to me and talked to me. This lady then, after I had this conversation about this priest, turns around and says, "Don't worry, I receive all your letters." And I said, "What do you mean you receive all my letters?" She goes, "The ones in the sea, I've received them all." But then I didn't question her. Like, I got a bit, even now speaking about it, I got a bit goosebumps. So I just left it. I said, maybe there is something there. So then I finally, the doctor said you can be discharged. And I said, before I get discharged, can you write me a note? I have no idea what medication I was taking. They were injecting me and giving all sorts of tablets. And I said, look, quickly, we'll just give you this note. It's all written in Greek. You come, for those of you who have seen the Greek language, it's pretty much impossible to read if you don't know Greek. Anyway, there's all these shapes and numbers and all these letters on this piece of paper. I took it with me anyway, so it's better than nothing. We got to London and we're straight to the ambulance and straight to the hospital. And then the first thing the doctor said to me was, "Can I see your medical report?" So I'm explaining to her, look, this is all in Greek. I don't understand. I told them, they didn't listen to me. Don't know what they gave me. Don't know what medication. I'm pouring my heart and she's laughing at me. And I said, I don't know what's so funny. Why are you laughing at me? This is very serious. Because I'm laughing because I'm Greek and the only Greek doctor in the hospital. I can perfectly read this. So again, that conviction that I am your mother and I'm your father, I'm always with you. Anyway, they said the bone is broken on your collar and you need to have surgery. And then, they took various x-rays and they booked me surgery for 6 months. They said the bone hasn't healed, which means surgery is inevitable. So you've got to have surgery. That's fine. The day before the surgery, they called me in for routine checkup and x-rays. So I went for my x-rays and everything, and the consultant called me in. And he just sat there looking at the screen. And he goes, I don't know what's happened. He goes, last week your bones were completely broken and you needed surgery. Your x-rays showing me your bones are completely fused. There's no need for surgery. So again, Swami's kind of omnipresence and looking out. So although it was a traumatic experience, the various lessons in life have been with me throughout my period, and has always been there, guiding and protecting. Even so, true to his word, in the interview that we had, Swami, very clearly, we were talking to him about, personal stuff. He tapped his chest 3 times and he said, "I am your mother and I am your father." And then he embraced us and gave us a hug, me and my mother, and he just held us really tight. And he goes, just don't ever forget that. And those lessons are so powerful. So Swami passed away in April, but 2 months in February. Swami wasn't coming out for darshana, as many of us would know. So I was only in Puttaparthi for 1 or 2 days, but he came out on that day. He came out for darshan and he came round the side, and next to me happened to be a man who had a kind of wedding invitation or something, and he had yellow ice. So Swami pulled down his window as he came, took out the yellow ice and scattered on him and on me. And then 2 months later, we found out Swami passed away. So no, true to his words, to his last breath, when he says, "I'm your mother and I'm your father and I'm always with you," he lived up to that. And then on reflection on the journeys and everything that you take in life, you realize that. So it's just that conviction and having that constant reminder, that constant awareness. I had a beautiful satsang with Ron Uncle on the way here, and the amount of times he mentioned his Swami's will, like we're about to take the motorway route, and he said, no, let's take this road, let's leave it to Swami's his will. As he said that, we looked at the dash cam and it said 108 minutes. So those little signs are his divine grace that is always with us, and it's that conviction each and one of us that we need to have and then hold on to that faith. So that's the lesson, and I think that's the message I got certainly from your beautiful talk as well. So thought I'll share those few words with you, and thank you for having me with you and spending this beautiful Navratri day with you all. So loving Sawams.